Hey guys, we're back from Daytona with all kinds of things that happened. We're going to talk about our experiences and things that went on in the track. But at the end of the day, we're just here for the speed. All right, guys. So you guys went and had fun at the track, I see. You came back alive, so that's always a good thing. Yeah. So
it was a long 11 days.
Yeah. Was it? I guess it was a good time, though.
It was a great time. I mean, there's nothing like Speed Weeks, man. It's just from the time you get there to the time you leave. I mean, it was funny leaving yesterday. Or last night was kind of like the last night, and everybody's kind of bummed that they're leaving. Even after 11 days of partying, hanging out, and watching racing, everybody was still sad to see each other go. So it's cool to build those relationships and have a great time.
Yeah. Matt, what did you think?
I thought it was awesome, man. I think a lot of the experiences that they put on for the fans, I mean, it's not just a Thursday through Sunday kind of feel. I mean, we were there for 10 days straight, and there was constantly stuff going on, midway stuff across the street. So I think just all in all, with that stuff all together, it just makes it go by faster, which kind of relates to what Jake was saying. Just you're kind of sad to see everyone go home and leave, because it's like you'll wake up the next day and like half the campers are already gone, and it's like, oh, this is sad.
What's kind of crazy is you brought up all the experiences outside the track and stuff. We didn't even do everything.
No, I don't see how you could.
We were there for that whole time, and you can't even do everything.
No.
I mean, you'd have to be running to try to do everything. It's just so much. And then you guys didn't go to the fan zone for the 500 on yesterday, but we did. And it was packed. I mean, concert. You could look at the 500 winning car from last year. They have all the cars on the grid. It's just there's literally so much to do. It's so incredible. It's overwhelming, but in all the best ways.
That's what I was going to say. It's almost a little overwhelming on, 500 day, because there's just so many people. It's insane.
Yeah,
it truly is.
Yeah. So I should say we kind of skipped intros. So by the way, I'm DJ with Here for the Speed. So we'll just keep rolling with it.
Yeah, I'm Jake.
And I'm Matt.
Yeah,
that's it.
Normally we have Jeff here with us. He's busy with some family stuff. So,
just the three of us today.
Just the three. Yep.
Just the three of us.
Personally, I think he was tired. I don't think he wanted to admit it, but I think he was tired.
We might have a little wore out.
Listen, man, when you're at Daytona, like the one thing that I remember, like in the couple times I've been to Daytona, though, is just how big that track is. Like you really don't understand. If you've only seen it on TV, you do not understand how big this track is.
We understand clearly.
Oh, I'm sure you do.
We camp in turn 1, but we hang out. All the fun people to hang out with are in turn 3, and that's a really long walk. And we're too cheap to pay for joyrides, so we walked it every day.
Which, if you don't know what joyriding is, that's the track service that basically they have a bunch of golf carts that take you around. You can pay them a little bit, like a little tip or something, and take them around.
A little tip, man.
Well, yeah,
used to be a little tip. Now they want that coin.
Well, they figured out that they can make the coin.
They make it. Oh yeah.
So they got away with it. So
I will tell you though, hey, my watch was really proud of me this week.
I'm sure.
I set all kind of walking records and just all kind of activity records.
That's awesome. So yeah, so I mean, it was a good. I will say that watching it from home was a fun race to watch. I will say we'll kind of get into like talking about this and everything more, but the thing that amazed me was I expected that there was going to be a little more single file, kind of riding around waiting, and that didn't happen. Like
no, they were 2x2 almost the entire race,
almost the whole race.
Yeah,
like that blew my mind.
Like a 5 to 7 car stretch, and then they'd reel it right back in.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were listening to Chase Elliott most of stage 1, and they were talking about how interesting it was. One lane would start to surge ahead and could only get no more than 7 cars, and eventually it would come back.
Yeah.
And they would slick you back.
Yeah, it was definitely not quite what I expected. That being said, I thought it was a great race. The end of the race, man, talk about a nail biter, and I was shaking, and I didn't even really have a driver in the hunt.
For Ricky Spenhouse, man, I thought you did a great job there at the end.
Hey, he manages to stumble across one every once in a while.
Sorry, Ricky Stenhouse. My apologies, sir. But he got it. I'm proud of him. Good for him, man.
I would say like he's known for being really aggressive, but he's always up there all the time.
Always.
And that's just what the plate races. They're not the days of old when Earnhardt Sr. or even Dale Jr. used to win them all. with like a bunch of just the aero package was just different then. So now you have to be a little more aggressive. And Denny Hamlin's aggressive. Ricky Stenhouse is an aggressive guy. Brad Keselowski, and they're always there. They're always there, and they're always the guys that seem to be getting most of these super speedway wins.
Yeah,
no, for sure.
Yeah. So the other races that were at the track. So there's a lot of different races that happen at this track, right? Like you have the duels, you have the Xfinity, you have the truck races, the ARCA series. So let's kind of talk on all those real quick.
Yeah, you want to start with the duels?
Let's start with the duels first. So what did you guys think? How was it watching the duels there?
The duels were, excuse me, the duels were super predictable. I mean, I was telling Lewis, who went with us, he's never been there. If the first one is tame, the second one is way more exciting, or vice versa. If there's a big wreck in the first race, the second one gets super tame. So that kind of fit the mold exactly. Chevy really screwed up the strategy in the first one. They obviously fixed that in the second one. We were way more competitive. But yeah, I mean, it's just I don't know what they were thinking. They really screwed up. Nobody was. I feel like it would have probably been okay, but they just weren't in line coming off of pit road. You know what I mean? So you saw when all the Fords and everybody else came down, they were real tight leaving pit road. So when the Chevys left pit road, they were all spread out. Two of them had speeding penalties. I think there was
there was some pit penalties and stuff like that.
So they poorly executed, and I mean you just can't go down that low, that far ahead of everybody else, because the guys that are still on the racetrack are still going to make really good times. So breakdown of communication, but they cleaned it up.
How do you think the duels went as far as aggression? Like, I know we were kind of just talking about it a little bit about, the first one was too much. Basically Kyle Busch wrecking. Do you think he was being pushed too hard by Suarez when he was hitting the wall?
I think it all depends on the driver.
Do you think Kyle Busch should have dipped out? I think he should have dipped out. He knew he had a fast enough car. I think he should have dipped out after one or two bad bumps.
There's single file. You're going to go all the way to the back.
Yeah, but I mean, super speedway, it's either that or wreck your car, which obviously he wrecked his car.
Which, to be honest, on a side note, we'll get into this later. I mean, it didn't really seem to hurt him that much.
It didn't.
No, they brought a really good backup piece.
Yeah.
I saw somewhere online.
Because it was Austin Dillon's car, that's why.
I saw somewhere online.
I listened to RCR today. They actually brought one backup car.
Yeah.
And it was wrapped, mostly three, but it was wrapped in the three, but it had Kyle Busch's interior.
Really?
So it was a mixture of both. So that way you only got to swap half of something, which was actually really genius. I was like, that's super smart.
That is actually a really good idea.
I saw a photo, and I can't say it was 100% true or not, but there was a 3 outlined on the side of the car.
Yeah.
They had to put Kyle Busch's sticker over it. So I was like, hey, man, maybe they had to do like
same backup car.
Just weird, just how it had the 3, but also the 8. And it's like, man, maybe that made an advantage. You never know, man.
Actually, it's really interesting that it did add some, but I would think they would maybe add drag. I don't know. Without being in a wind tunnel, I don't really know.
And even if it did, it would mean how much would it really
I mean, the body tolerances are like 3/1000th of an inch.
Well, so maybe.
Yeah,
that.
I mean, it's super strict.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what about the tape that Joe Gibbs got busted with last year?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that was less than that.
Yeah, underneath, what is that? Underneath the wrap or something? Yeah, so it's possible.
So, but maybe there's some kind of rule that allows you to rewrap like that in case of a backup. I don't know.
Yeah. So first duel is kind of, boring. It's funny you say that because they actually did say that on the broadcast. It was 2 Fords.
Yeah, Logano won the first one.
Logano and Amarola.
I think with it having to be boring, it just depends on who's in the race. So
yeah.
I mean, the Fords were up front, and they were running strong, and everybody was just going to run single file. In Duel 2, you had Kyle Busch and Suarez, and them guys want to lead every lap. Yeah. So, and Kyle Larson wants to win everything. So I think Duel 2 was just naturally more aggressive because you have guys that come from the mentality of they want to lead every lap on a super speedway.
I think they were a lot more strategic in the duels than they have been in past years, just in my opinion.
Yeah.
They were a lot more strategic.
Well, I mean, I think it was Bowman. He pretty much backed out almost immediately because
that's what he does, though.
Yeah, but in his position,
that was totally predictable.
Right, so this kind of gives
did he need to? That's the thing, is he already had good position. That's what I'm saying. So why wouldn't he go to the back? Why wouldn't he back? There's no reason for him to risk it.
So this brings up a whole another conversation. Why, if you win the qualification, you win the pole, why are you still in the duels? Should they even be in the duels?
Depends. Some people want to be.
Okay, fair enough.
Kyle
Some
Larson
people
was
want to
in
be,
third.
but if
So
you know
could-
your car is
should
that
you-
solid, would the
It just
teams
goes
want to
down to
risk
the
it?
chart.
Maybe
You gotta
give
run
the
every
teams an
race for
option
them.
where they can opt out of the race because you already
If you
got
won
position.
yeah.
Because they would now that would make a better product. But the thing is
But then again, now you're saying,
that
okay,
fair?
well, this car is not running an extra 60 laps like all the other cars in the field
Yeah,
because it
no,
won the
you gotta
pole.
you gotta be equal across the board.
But
yeah,
then
and I
if you
think
win,
that's
then if you win the duel, you still don't get pole position. You get what, third and fourth?
Yeah, but you get 10 points.
You do get 10 points. That's true. That's
10
true.
points are a lot.
But
I mean, how many of the
I feel
how many of
like
the
it might be
things
a little
last year
better.
came down to cutoffs and it was 1-2 points.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, or even before cutoffs, just even where you may place in the regular season, how many bonus points you pick up from that.
I was
Yeah,
thinking
so-
maybe
points are
if you win the pole, like you still win the pole, you get the trophy, you get all that, but then you have to also fight for your position in the duel. You're going to start up front. Now you have to earn your place up front.
I don't
I think
know.
that might make it a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, I kind of like the
It would.
tradition because it depends. It gives variety to qualifying that you want to come and do you set up to race good or do you come and do you try to go for the pole? You know, like, I mean, the Hendrick cars in the duels did not drive very good because they were set up for the pole, except for Chase Elliott, who drove pretty good in his duel.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, I like the varying strategy. The only thing I wish they would do a practice session before qualifying to let everybody really dial it in, and a practice session before the duel. So literally the first practice session would just be single car runs, and you can really have a real good competition of everyone giving their best effort at the pole. Make that more prestigious, and then give you another practice session. Don't impound the cars and let everybody go race for real in the duels. And that'll get rid, because what happens in the duels, half the cars are trying to go for a good qualifying position, so they drive bad. So that's why I think you see a lot of the single file. You know, you have a bunch of cars that don't drive very
I don't
well.
know, I just think it would still be more entertaining. Like, hey, you win the pole. All right, cool. You're starting first on the duel. Now keep your spot. You know, if someone wins the duel, now they took.
Yeah, but then
first.
I think you just water it down.
Really, I
That
think it would,
was-
I think
what's
it
the
would
point of
elevate it
qualifying?
much
Just do
more.
a pill drop.
Yeah, I was saying at that point, qualifying
What's the point of
becomes
qualifying?
almost
You
yeah.
still get the trophy. You still get the pole. You still get all that. And now if you bring back the clash to where only pole winners
Yeah,
get to go.
you're not the pole of the Daytona 500. You're the pole of Duel 1.
I don't know, man.
I don't know. To
I'm
me, that just
saying,
doesn't mean that much.
I think it would make. I think it would.
I think
add
to a
better,
sponsor, it means way more to get a pole for the Daytona 500.
I agree. I think one thing we're also skipping over is the fact that I think so much of the 500 is about tradition and heritage and
What
everything.
they haven't stripped away.
Yeah, well, true, but I mean, what's left, I think, is still,
Not even speed weeks, it's speed days.
which is funny because they even still
Went from
call it.
speed weeks to speed week to speed days.
They still call it Speed Weeks
I know.
too. That's
I
what's
mean, I
funny.
think they do out of tradition because you have Volusia's running a bunch of
You have
stuff. You got,
Volusia. You have the
New Smyrna, which we did go to a New Smyrna
you have
race.
the
We talked
Rolex-
about it.
if you count the Rolex, that's
This
kind of
that's
something.
3 weeks before. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
It's still in the same vein as
We're
a bunch of
borderline
racing
speed bump.
happening
Yeah.
in the Daytona Beach area within 50 miles.
yeah.
You know, we did go. Actually, you talked about what races we went to before we even went
Yeah.
to the duels on Saturday night. We went to Volusia and saw a killer modified race, and actually met one of our favorite people and one of our inspirations to start the podcast. Man, we get to meet Freddie Kraft.
Yeah.
That was a
Super
lot of fun.
cool. Got to talk to him for a few minutes. Really nice guy. They had a rough night. They didn't run very good. They got wrecked out with
Yeah.
a couple dozen laps to go or whatever. But New Smyrna is great. I heard they're actually going to repave New Smyrna.
That could be interesting.
Yeah, like this year.
More banking.
Probably, I
Mini
don't see
Bristol.
him doing a
Bristol.
reshaping. I mean,
Yeah.
short tracks don't get that kind of money. But
Probably
new
not.
surface could be really good.
I just noticed like they didn't have any air titans there for when it rained on what was it Monday or Friday night.
Yeah,
They had to use what was it a
they use an airboat.
airboat.
You
but
see that?
Man, they had a
No.
really
They pulled an airboat with a truck.
they had a really nice pace car running around there. So I don't know if they own the pace car or if it was just wrapped for them, but
Oh no, that's the pace car that's always there.
that's always the pace. Okay, so
No, but so
maybe,
the Wheeling,
maybe we need to invest in just one air titan.
it was the
Something.
Wheeling Modified Tour, and so with that being a NASCAR series, they brought Air Titans and they brought a couple of the track dryers from
Oh, okay.
Daytona.
Yeah.
So that track, it rained. Surprise, surprise. But they got the track dried and they ran the race. It was a phenomenal race. The modifieds are insane.
Have to.
So let's move on to some other races. So ARCA. So our boy
Back
Frankie.
it up. Friday.
What?
Truck
Truck
race.
race.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got want to get to ARCA. I want to talk about
I
French
know you
truck
do.
Truck race, man.
All right, so let's talk about the truck race.
I'm not happy.
No
Not
bueno.
happy about the truck race.
No, that freaking pissed me off.
Truck race was rough.
The racing was great, minus the misting. The misting was so terrible, and you could tell in the beginning they were just caution flag happy because of what happened in August. Like,
Yeah.
there's no doubt.
Yeah.
They weren't going to take any chances, which I'm okay with to a certain extent, but it was like, should we just red flag this and call it, like, let's just do this tomorrow?
Out of
Yeah.
the 79 laps ran, 39 of them were green.
That's
Yeah.
brutal.
And that's rough. And
You know what
see,
it felt like? It felt like an iRacing race.
It was rough.
Where when
And then
everybody
on the
calls
last-
iRacing iPacing.
On the
That's what it
last-
felt like.
On the last 20 laps, when after it officially stopped misting, they called the race at like 11:10.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I was listening to the official radio channel, the NASCAR channel, and pretty much they called the race because they were gonna have to work on the backstretch again. The rest of the track was dry. They didn't want to do it.
yeah,
Yeah, that
No,
sucked.
it was rough, and it was one thing they were talking about on the broadcast. Even was how, on the backstretch, it might be fine, but it's raining over in turn one, and it's not anywhere else
It
because
never
of,
rained.
and it's
No, it never
because
rained.
of well,
It
that's
heavily
what-
misted.
that's what they were calling it. I will say on the broadcast, it did look like a light rain because
They definitely lost the track once, for sure.
But the way they phrase and the way they highlighted it was you were looking at the lights against a black sky.
Yeah.
So of
You're gonna
course
see
it's
it.
going to look like rain at
No,
that
it
point.
was super
But yeah,
thick. There was a ton of moisture. I mean, they had to throw the yellows when they did. They had to throw the reds when they did. No harm, no foul. They tried really hard. It's a tough thing to swallow because we walk out to the parking lot and it's dry. There's no more mist and the wind is blowing really hard. And by the time we had made it to the parking lot from the stands, on our way back to the tunnel, the parking lot was dry already because of the wind.
Yeah.
It already pulled the moisture out of the parking lot. So I think
not to mention there's also things called air titans.
I don't think they were even going to need the air titans.
But I'm saying that they still have it.
Probably
So
another 10 minutes
I think
or
within
so.
15 minutes they could have restarted that
Yeah, they
race.
could have restarted it easily.
So the only thing I heard that kind of made sense to me was somebody had said that the truck garages had opened at 8:00, and I think it was almost 11 at that point.
Well, they were done. They were
So
ready to
They
go
may have
home.
just been
I
tired.
kind of get it, but at the same time, like, I mean, there was the biggest truck race crowd in 12 years.
Yeah.
There's a ton
Huge
of people
crowd,
there.
man. I've never seen that many people. I've been going to Daytona 500 since 2011 and truck races since 2015, and that was easily the biggest truck race crowd I've ever seen. And that race was, man, with no big wrecks or anything, there was still so many good cars or trucks. I mean, it was going to be phenomenal.
Hey, I was still happy with Zane Smith winning. I always root for Zane Smith.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
I like him as a driver, so I'm cool with him winning. I just wish he finished the race, but I'm still
Well,
cool with his win.
What sucks is you see it devolves into on Twitter, like everybody's saying it's a Mickey Mouse win. It's
Yeah,
not a real
they're
win.
picking
I mean,
on
that
him
sucked.
for something that's totally out of his
every
control.
time there's a rain
Bubba
out.
got it. Justin Haley got it
Out of their
when he
control,
won
man.
Daytona after rain. Amarola.
Him walking around with the umbrella was kind of funny though.
Oh, dude, he was like,
He had
it's
the-
raining harder than I've ever seen it rain here. I was like, oh my God. As a fan in the stands, I was like, shut up.
That's insane. So
Yeah,
so
he was the only guy on pit road with an umbrella. You can look at all the pit road and there's one guy holding an umbrella. I'm like, there he is. It was super funny.
yeah, so I mean, it's one of those things that when do you call it? And this is where it's one of those things. How do you call that race, and how do you know for sure it's going to stay
So,
dry?
This is kind of what I was trying to lead into. I want to say our last podcast was about the new rain tires.
Yeah.
When do you call it?
Yeah.
Before it was, it's raining. It's going to be bad. We can't get the track
Well, you
dry.
can't even use rain tires here.
Right. No, I understand Daytona, you can't ruse it. But like in another situation, say at a smaller track where they have that option, like when are they?
Calling the track is going to be totally different in those scenarios for sure.
Yeah. When is it going to be acceptable? And based off of what I heard, I mean, we're totally getting off on a tangent here, but I mean, they're going to talk about that there's going to be no standing water on the track. So I'm like, you're going to run 20 laps, dry the track up, and everybody's going to be dying for slicks.
Yeah.
If that,
Yeah.
I think maybe 10.
I mean, you may
There's gonna be a lot of heat in those
just
tires.
ride it out and then not pit. I don't know, man. I want it to rain in Phoenix.
I do too.
It's not going to, I don't think, but that would be super interesting.
Yeah. All right. So move on to the next race, ARCA. All right. What do you guys think of ARCA from the stands, Matt?
I thought ARCA was actually a really good race. I thought it was one of the better races. Granted, they had a lot of caution still, but from what we could see in the stands and how we watched it, I thought everyone played pretty nicely. You know, few cars wrecked out, few cars caught on fire. That's natural at Daytona. But no, ideally, I mean, I liked the ARCA race. Obviously, most of us were rooting for Frankie Muniz. So I thought it was a good race. I liked it.
Yeah, Jake.
So a couple things off the rip. It was the biggest ARCA field in a while. It was a full field. They even sent a couple cars home, and the field was by far the most competitive ARCA field I think I've ever seen. Like I said, I've only been going to ARCA races for probably 10 years. And it was by far one of the best. I mean, it was super good. 2-3 wide racing a lot of the time. It was wild, man. It was super entertaining.
Yeah.
I listened to Natalie Decker a little bit. I listened to a few of the drivers a little bit, but I mainly listened to Frankie Muniz. And dude, his energy, his excitement to be there was intoxicating.
Dude, he honestly
so
did
fun.
really good, I thought.
He did fantastic.
Considering this was his first like super speedway, I believe.
His first ARCA race.
First ARCA, first super speed.
He's only run like local short tracks.
Dude, and he, as far as I'm concerned, he was hanging in with those guys plenty fine.
Yeah.
Especially for a first
very
time.
limited practice, not many laps. Yeah, it was pretty good.
I mean, now is he going to be the next Cup driver? No, I don't think. I mean, one, I think he's too old, to get to that level by the time he gets the experience and everything. But like, dude, I could see him being a truck driver, like driving the trucks.
His excitement on the radio makes me think this guy is going to give 100% effort, no matter what it takes to climb the ladder.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I don't know if he'll ever make it to Cup. But man, he's super fun to listen to. I mean, there was at one point, it was before he wrecked and he was in pretty good position. And I told him how many laps to go and where he was at. I mean, he just comes over the radio, just, let's go win this race. And he's like yelling and screaming. Like he was so hyped to be there.
That's awesome. See,
it was super
but that's
cool,
the kind
man.
of people and personalities that NASCAR needs, other than just Chase Elliott being in an interview and being like, yeah, man, we ran a good race.
Yeah. It's like the excitement's gone.
Like I like Chase, but like, he is one of the worst interviewees, I think, in the Cup garage.
But what's funny, though, is when he kind of lets it slide a little bit.
It's
like
great.
When he got wrecked by Kyle Busch, and that whole Harvick thing. People
great.
love it. They're obsessed with it. Or when him and Denny got into it at Martinsville.
Yes.
Like,
dude, him and the Kyle Busch thing,
a little bit,
where he goes up literally on the track and just stands there and flips him the bird as he drives by, like
double bird.
Was it a double?
Was it a dude? No,
I think it was only one.
Yeah.
But dude, like, still, it's just hilarious. Like, why don't we get more drivers' personalities? We need that. We need your Noah Gragson with the biggest freaking Wendy's hat I've ever seen in my life.
That was hilarious,
dude. We'll get to that later. But anyway, yeah, I mean, just like, we need these personalities. So having someone like Frankie Muniz and ARCA, I will watch ARCA, but I'm not like a big like, oh, I gotta make sure I'm free for the, like, if I've got something going on, like, I'll miss it. Like, it's the ARCA series. But dude, with Frankie in there, I'm like, dude, I'm actually
like the schedule that he's racing, which he's racing all of the East or the West. I can't remember. He's racing a full season in one of the ARCA series. I'll be watching probably every race. And
just because of that, and I think that's a good thing for any of the sports. So yeah, I think that was good. The race itself, I thought, was pretty good. I don't think it was, wasn't anything super special.
There's a lot of single car spins that gave us a lot of caution laps, but the racing was phenomenal the whole time.
Yeah, for sure.
It was hot. That's for sure.
It was an underdog winner, big time. I don't even know much about this guy, but just from what I saw on social media,
dude, his
everybody was like, "This is wild. This means so much." I mean, like, everybody was so hyped for him. So I mean, that's super cool, man.
Yeah, no, that was super awesome. Like, it literally, like, watching his interview at the end, his post race, not even his post race. It was when he got out of the car.
Yeah,
dude, like, I mean, that was awesome to watch it and stuff like that. Okay, moving on to that one. Now we get the Xfinity series.
So it's funny. Lewis went with us, and he's only ever been to a Cup race in Atlanta, right? So he went to an Xfinity race in August as well. And missed the Cup race in August due to rain and it being postponed the next day. But he saw the ARCA, the Cups on Thursday for the duels, and the truck drivers on Thursday or Friday, and then he saw the Xfinity guys on Saturday night. And he was like, it's blown away. You can see the progression. And by the time you get to Xfinity, like, these dudes are ballers, man. They're bad to the freaking bone.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean,
They have
were
something
three
they have
wide,
something to
racing
prove too.
hard.
They're trying to get a job.
Yeah,
Like they're trying to move up the cup. So and they got the talent.
They want to win at Daytona, man.
Yeah.
I thought that race was phenomenal. So good. I mean, they had to call the caution there at the end. It just is what it is. You know, you get a car going upside down, you got to call caution.
Yeah.
Dude, that was wild because I don't know how it was for you guys at the track, but even watching it live, the amount of time that passed while NASCAR was trying to figure out, you know, who was the
it
winner.
was super hard.
Dude,
nobody could tell. Did you guys see
Did you guys see the picture that they used?
Yeah.
Dude, it's nuts.
It's
now,
super close.
Something I don't know if you guys heard that what they were saying. I think it was the 19. I think it was what was the other car that was with Austin Hill?
The
It was
20.
20. The 20 was actually went below the double yellow.
Yeah, but I feel like
they were saying, I believe that they looks like he was forced or not forced, but because of the wreck, avoiding the wreck, and
it all kind of happened at once. I mean, you could almost say the 7 pushed him down there. Well, the 7 came down and he reacted down. So they didn't make contact. So was it forced? Was it not?
Because that was something they were talking about on the broadcast. Was they were like, if that's the case, then it's very obvious that Austin Hill should be the winner. So that means NASCAR is fully in agreement that he was okay to be down there. If they were taking that long to decide.
Yeah.
So that was kind of
I
something
think
kind
a
of
lot of
interesting.
what you're seeing there too is they're going to get a top 5 lineup. At the same time they're doing that, they're typically getting at least top 3, top couple.
And there was those
they
two.
They got to line up TV interviews too.
Yeah,
so they got to
that's
get
true.
you your winner and let the TV know who they're interviewing. So you'll see them give over the radio. They'll say this is the winner. This is second, third, fourth. Like they're calling.
So
out.
it might have actually taken longer because they're right behind Austin Hill and the 20. I don't remember who was driving the 20. Right behind them, I think was 3 cars that were like really close.
John Hunter.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, John Hunter.
I wanted, man, he was really good.
Yeah, so I mean that was one heck of an ending. So I thought that was a great race.
Did you see Sam Mayer's tweet?
No,
dude, this was so freaking funny. So you know the whole thing with the Super Bowl, the script. Like it's just been something that's been trending and popping up a lot. So he posted a tweet after the race, said, you know, I asked everybody for the script all week to see what my role was. He's like, now I know why nobody told me because Sam Mayer was the one that was flipping upside down. I was like, way to own it, bro.
That's awesome. All right, so that brings us now to the Cup race.
Wait, can we back up real quick?
No.
Hold on.
Yeah, it's fine.
Back to his rollover. That was shockingly easy that he rolled over by himself. I mean, he got turned.
Yeah.
But then he hit the wall and got no other assistance and blew right over.
Wasn't it Harrison Burton had that happen last year?
He kind of got hit on the side a little bit.
Okay.
But I mean, that was man, I don't know, man. You saw something similar like when Ryan Newman kind of hit on the front and turned around real fast. It's something about like if they get nose on and turn, man, they flip really easy. So I think there's definitely something that NASCAR's probably got to look at because we've seen it a couple times where if you get it the right way, Myatt Snyder's crash last year, very similar, got hit, but he got turned around and then kind of it seems like when you get turned around and you get pushed, then they want to flip. You kind of overpower the flaps.
Yeah.
But I think,
we make the flaps
I don't
bigger?
know, man. It seems like there's still a vulnerability that these cars want to flip really easy, which is exciting, but
the
so
interesting
scary
thing
after
to
Newman's
me
crash.
is it doesn't seem to be specific to just like Xfinity or Cup.
It's all 3 series.
It's everything. Yeah. So I think it's just, you have something going sideways that's now catching a bunch of air. It turns into a sail. You know, how do you fix that? Like, there's much smarter people out that work for these teams that are probably trying to figure out the exact same thing. But I don't know.
Someone gets paid a lot of money to figure it out.
Yeah, and I figure if it was simple as making the flaps bigger, then they probably have already looked into that. Yeah. They've probably looked into a lot crazier things than that. So
yeah, I don't know.
You're right.
I don't know enough about it, but there's something, and it seems like the longer an aero package or a rules package goes, and these teams figure out more ways to play with things and play with the aerodynamics, it seems like it gets easier and easier. Like you saw that with the Gen 6 when they first came out with like that big spoiler and all that. There wasn't that many flips, but then as that car started wrapping up, like Logano's flip, and there was just a bunch of them towards the end. So I think they're
probably just right on the ragged edge of aero pushing the boundaries
They
to
have
the
to
point that as soon as that arrow is interrupted a little bit, it just instantly everything is lighter and it just causes the flip.
I think there's I don't know. I don't pretend to know, but I think you see the guys when they're doing their qualifying laps holding their hand up at the driver's side net.
Yeah.
Right. And that's to keep air from going in the cab. And I've heard before they try to keep the cab of the race car, the cockpit, they want almost positive pressure. They don't want air
Makes sense.
getting in there because that creates drag. So I think as they get smarter and they figure out ways to stop that to where air doesn't get into the race car, I think when they turn around, you just have this positive pressure bubble. So when air hits the bottom of the car, it has nowhere to go. So it just pushes up.
Could it be also
You know what I
maybe
mean?
depending?
Yeah, no, that
well, hold
makes
on. These wrecks that happened, which way did Sam turn when he
He
wrecked?
got turned right ways into the wall
Okay,
and then
so
flipped.
so here's the thing.
It's
That's
very
the
similar to Brian.
that's the window net. The window net is on the leading side. Does that mean that canopy, the interior, is acting like a parachute?
I don't know. We got to look
catching
at
the
the
wind through
replay
there.
to say for sure. But anyway, when they get sideways, they become vulnerable.
Yeah.
Right.
For some reason, it could just be because now you're an airplane wing.
Yeah.
You
And
have air
it's a
moving
steeper.
underneath the car very fast, and you have air going around it. It could just
Your
literally just pull it
effective
over.
wheelbase is shorter too, so it would be easier to flip
Yeah,
it over at that
possibly.
point. So I don't know. But yeah, like we said, there's smarter people that can do that.
Yeah.
All
Sorry for.
They should have still gave him the script though.
They should have.
Yeah, just to let him know, let him prep a little bit.
Like, yeah, that's kind of rude. Like, hey, we're gonna flip you upside down, but like, you're not gonna know.
don't tell anyone.
I promise. All right, so Cup race, the big event. Leading up to it, let's talk about leading up to the event and like the festivities at the track. What is it like being there? Because it seems absolutely electric from what I could see.
When you're there and walking around the front, it's so packed, it's so crowded. But like almost bad, but not. I mean, like if you're there all week, you can hit the merch haulers, you can hit all the stuff, and then you're just kind of out just soaking in the environment. If you show up Sunday and you're trying to buy stuff or experience stuff, kind of sucks because the lines are really long. But if you get there in the morning, like a theme park, you could definitely do a bunch of it and have a good time. But I mean, we left our campsite. We were out there around 11, and it was just so electric. Everybody's so excited to be there. I mean, this was the most excited like crowd I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
You know,
No, it was wild for sure. One thing that I did notice because we were walking around a little bit, I met my parents out there when they were coming on in. They went and got merch. The merch tents were moving fast. They were not dilly-dallying. They were in and out, in and out, in and out. So on that side,
long line but rolling.
long line, but man, you were moving. Like
That's
you
good.
got gear in 15 minutes.
That's
Like
better
it wasn't
than
bad at all.
It's better than a lot of tracks normal day.
We went to Talladega a few years ago, and we looked at the lines, and they were just so unbelievably long that we didn't even stop and look at the merch
That's good.
because it was
So
just.
hopefully they figured something out for
I think
this
they
year to
figured
really.
something out.
But Atlanta
Maybe.
wasn't bad. But Atlanta doesn't hold 100,000 either.
No, Talladega was the only one I noticed that we walked by because I was going to take a look and see if I could see some like Ross Chastain gear or something like that. And the lines were like easily 50 to 75 people in each hauler. I just think it was because they didn't have enough haulers. Daytona, they obviously have a ton of haulers. You can kind of go.
No, it's the same. It's the same rolling
It's the same,
circuits.
yeah. I think
Is it the same?
It's the same.
It felt like there was a
Chase
lot more
Elliott
at
always
Daytona.
has his own.
Yeah.
And then you have all the Hendrick guys together.
Maybe they had more people ringing out. They had at least 4 people at each hauler.
See, every time
Cashing
I've
out
ever
people.
gone up to a merch hauler, it's only 2 people ever working in there.
Daytona, the
So now
500
there
was
was 4?
different.
So they must
That's
really.
500.
I bet you they brought in more people.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
they had
they would
great
have.
merch. In all honesty, the 75 gear was amazing. Lots of cool
Man, they
items they added in.
killed it on the 75 merch.
They
Really?
really killed it
everything
between the
was amazing.
jackets, the
Jackets,
polos.
hats, shirts. It was all great.
Yeah,
Like
there wasn't a bad item.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just what did you want to choose?
I plan on buying nothing and bought way more than I've ever bought in a year.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then they had the 75 anniversary tent. Amazing. They had the trophy out there. I think it was a copy of the trophy, but the trophy was out there. They had a car out
Oh, you're talking
there.
about the interactive, the experience. They had, like,
you
a
could
big
go
stage,
and do like
go
you could
in.
do the
Super
pit
cool.
stop with the one lug nut. They had cornhole. They had a whole
They
bunch
had,
of
but
guest
they had the
speakers.
75, so they actually had Xfinity truck and Cup, and they had cars on display up on an angle, and
On each one, man,
You had 5 lug nut pit stops. You had single lug nut tire thing. It was super cool.
It was really
there was
cool. It was a
so
great
much to do out
experience.
Yeah, something they did on the broadcast that was was a cool idea, but then when I saw it, I was like, clearly they need to work on their budget a little bit. Was they did a fake lap, so to speak, of like all the like super popular generations. Like you had Petty's, Superbird, you had Earnhardt's Black 3, you had Gordon's
I didn't see
Rainbow
that,
Roar.
because it was all on.
It was all digital, and it was weird because they filmed it like it was actually the track.
It was
but
pretty cool.
it was like imposed in there like through graphics or something like that.
They must have done it all on iRacing and just lapped the camera together.
Dude, the only part that was weird was it was like I was watching it, I'm like, okay, there's no shadows on the car. Oh, nope, there's the shadows.
You're too picky, man. Just enjoy it for what it is.
It was a cool because they talked about each car and like different battles that had happened through the year. So I mean the idea was super cool. It's just I'm picky when it comes to stuff like that. But that was pretty cool.
So when it was kind of cool. So we actually went across the street, hit the gas station real quick, and then me and my wife did. And as we're coming back across the street, that's like where we used to park always, right behind that gas station. So it's a little bit nostalgic for us. That
Taco Bell?
Yeah, right there. But it was it's been like 10 years since me and my wife went to our first 500 together. It was like nostalgic because we've been camping and doing it differently for so long. To like, oh, this is cool. Like, and just man, it hit me and almost was getting like emotional. Like, it's how incredibly pageant and just amazing the whole thing is. Like, it's just overwhelming.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, just the whole thing. I mean, you're there with 100,000 people in the stands. God knows how many were in the infield, at least that many.
Dude, it was wild watching it.
They sold 50,000, but it was way more than 50,000 people in there.
Oh, yeah.
I'll tell you, like watching it on the broadcast and seeing the stands. Literally, I saw one clip at one point toward the very end of the race where there was a section that had a few seats left. Those things were packed.
Yeah,
the entire race.
It was
that
crazy
was cool.
because I mean, we met hundreds of people, and I don't know if in the infield this week. I don't think any of them were in the grandstand.
No, probably not.
I mean, it's such a small percentage. We are by far the minority that camp in the infield and go to the stand.
Yeah,
I mean,
most
based
people
off of what we saw.
hang out in the RVs and stuff like that.
I think one of the coolest things about being at the RV for the race was Matt Colleague was 2 RVs down from us, just chilling watching the race on top of his RV. And I was like, that's pretty cool. I didn't go over and say hi or anything.
So one thing I was going to say, how they always call like super speedways, like the great equalizer?
Yeah.
The Daytona 500 is a great equalizer of people. The amount of people we hung out with, I mean, famous iRacers, we hung out with Moonhead for a while. We hung out with a bunch of people. The Thunderbirds were there last night. We were all hanging out with like the pilots and everything. We're just chilling, hanging out, having a good time.
Everyone was there, man.
It
was really cool. It's just who are you going to run into?
Around, like it's at race teams. Like we were hanging out at a spot, and these the owners of these for an Xfinity team came over for a while and hung out. I mean, it's just everybody is just there just to have a good time and just kick back. It's just super cool, man. You go anywhere else and everybody's got their agenda and got their things to do in and out, but we go there for so many days. It's just like a great equalizer where everybody's on the same field, just trying to have a good time and kick off the year.
Awesome. So we've talked a lot about the event itself. Now let's get to the actual race. So the race itself, okay. If you guys had to pick, let's kind of do this part now. Let's do the most impressed. So let's do Matt, who were you most impressed by? Other than the person that I think you're going to pick. Yeah, who is your most impressed person? Who were you impressed by?
For a majority, I kind of walked into the race thinking Fords were going to be really strong. And for a majority of the race, I believe they were. So probably the most impressed I had would be Ryan Priest. Obviously, he got into an accident and he wrecked out towards the end, but that man was up there running laps for like, he's rarely been in one of these cars so far since the new gen. Like he's been doing a lot of smaller stuff, so that he came out and he was able to run up there with the big dogs, kind of staying in the draft. He felt comfortable. He looked comfortable.
2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
If you count the class.
Yeah, because he was good at the class
too. He looked extremely comfortable in that car, which I think that's great, especially for Stewart-Haas Racing and for that team in general. I think, yeah, for sure. Ryan Priest was my number one.
Priest kind of made me feel like with SHR, I was like, man, I was really getting kind of worried about them, like not having much to lean on. But man, after seeing Priest, I'm like, all right, maybe they're going to be all right.
I think they'll be all right.
I'm not saying he's going to be the next Harvick, but dude, yeah, But I think Priest was definitely showing like, don't worry, I can handle this. So I think that was good. Jake, what you got? What was your most impressed?
So I don't really have a most impressive or disappointing driver. I have a team because of the teamwork. So my team would definitely be RFK. Them dudes, either them or
Disgusting.
RCR. Both those teams.
Agreed.
Them guys stuck on each other's like glue. You know, Kyle and Austin Dillon, when they were together, they went together everywhere. They never left each other. Same thing with RFK guys. And then when RFK could get out and lead the pack, I mean, nobody could build a run against them. They were disgustingly fast.
Yep.
You know, Brad is a phenomenal pusher, and Busher had a fast piece, man. I mean, it was nothing they could do.
Brad was a good pusher to Mr. Busher.
Hey, we don't lift at Daytona, right?
No, I mean that was incredible.
It was. I would say for me, my most impressive was probably just Kyle Busch in general, because the dude literally started from the rear, got up to, I think it was the top 10, had a speeding penalty, gets gone back again, and then toward the end of the race is literally right back up there again.
Right
like,
there.
dude, I don't know how many people he ended up passing through the course of yesterday's race, but it was a lot. Like he had to have passed a lot of cars. And so I think that was the most impressed thing, was just because Kyle hasn't traditionally been the best at super speedways. Like, he's okay. I mean, it's Kyle Busch. Like, he's still a good driver, but like, to do as good as he did,
man, that last caution hurt him.
It did. He can't.
I don't know. Did
you hear what he said on the radio?
Ouch, man.
Did you hear what he was saying on the
I
radio?
wish it was 98.
He was like, "Yep, if it was 98, I would have won."
Yeah.
And even Austin Dillon, even like after he was out of the infield care center, was like, "Man," he's like, "I was gonna push him. I was gonna push him the whole way there." He's like, "I was." It
was super fun. I was bouncing between them two guys those last 15 laps. It was super entertaining to listen to. Super cool.
Yeah.
Kyle Busch, I think he gained 15 positions within the first 20 laps. Like, he was moving.
Dude, he was on a mission. Moving. And so I think that. So okay, let's. I got a couple of things I still want to hit on. So what's disappointing people
for me? Watching the race and how it kind of played out, I would say Ross Chastain was probably my most disappointing. He hung out in the back. He chilled. He did get a stage win. It was by like the nose of his car, but he wasn't really there for most of the race.
Had a total meltdown. He sped on the entry to pit road, and then before they even called out the speeding to pit road, in his pit box, he forgot to downshift to first and was still in second and stalled it.
Yeah.
And came out from first to last.
I think
and
maybe
then on
he had a
top
little
of
bit
that,
of
had
nerves.
to even make sure he was at the back of the field.
Self-destruct for sure.
Yeah, man. I mean, it is meltdown. Total failure to execute right there.
But then on the flip side, Suarez, he was doing pretty good until all the stuff he had happened. Yeah. But, I mean, he was pretty much up front. He was running pretty well for most of the day. He was in like top 10 most of the day. So, yeah, I would definitely say Chastain for my most disappointed, at least from what I saw on turn one.
Yeah, Jake.
Yeah, so for me, same thing. It's a team thing. Penske, not anyone in particular. And it's not even like they did bad. They just didn't perform like Penske does. They didn't do the Penske things where they all three roll together and are, unfailing loyalty to one another. And because of that, they could never really get locked up and dominate the race like they typically do.
I think
especially in stage 3.
I think their plan really fell apart once Blaney got damaged because they were together. For stage 1, they were. Yeah,
but there was a lot of times they were all pushing, and one of them would start pushing too hard, and they would jump out. It's like, why are you doing it? You don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Drag the lane around, manage your gaps, and drag the lane. You don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Unless they just didn't have the speed to do it, which still then to me goes back to Penske not doing what Penske does. Which I mean, you just know going into stage 3, you're expecting Penske are going to be the 3 you have to beat. That's the way it's been for the last couple of years.
Super speedways, yeah, that's always the way it is. For me, I don't really have a specific. Can't really think of anybody specifically that was disappointing.
How'd you feel about Jimmy?
Jimmy was, but I wasn't disappointed in Jimmy himself. I was upset that what happened and he wrecked out because he was doing great.
He had no help.
He and Kyle were my two people that I was like, dude, they are moving through the field, and he was looking really solid. So
I felt like he just didn't get that much help, man.
No, probably not. That's probably what it is.
Jones got wrecked out early, and then Gregson just I don't know what was up. He just wasn't really a contender all night.
I feel like maybe Gregson. I mean, not a lot of experience.
I mean, Gregson finished the highest out of all of them at 24.
The other two wrecked.
Yeah.
I mean, look, yeah, but Cody Ware beat him. Cody Ware beat a lot of
He
people.
was pretty good at super speedways. Man.
Apparently so.
Well,
He
Nah,
beat
I mean,
most of my fantasy picks. So, but yeah,
From what I was watching, because I was listening to Jimmy too, here and there, it just didn't seem like nobody would like if he would jump to make a move. Nobody would
went
follow.
with him.
You know, it's different. Like if you have, say, like Kyle Busch, who's fast. You know, Penske guys are fast. Denny Hamlin. If Denny Hamlin jumps out, everybody follows Denny Hamlin.
Yeah.
So when they would try to hang a guy and jump around him and make somebody fall through the middle, nobody would go with Jimmy, and he would fall back. He was the guy getting hung out a lot.
That's true.
You know, like they weren't giving him. I don't know if that's because his car maybe wasn't the best. I didn't listen to him that much, but I mean, yeah, it was super frustrating that he just couldn't really get a lot of help.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, I got two quick topics, and then we're going to move on to next race preview. Quick topic: broadcast. Now you guys,
That's gonna be on you because we didn't see it.
yeah, I know you guys didn't see
it.
it, but I'm
I
going to talk
heard
a little bit
about it, but that's about
So
it.
watching it, it was like it was a meme or something because literally I'm watching the race like, all right, now we're going to go side by side. And literally the second the side by side screen pops up, huge wreck happens turn 3.
Here's my question: how is it not an audible to pull you back?
Okay, that's my point that I want to get to because they were side by side for, it felt like forever. I think realistically it was probably 2 to 3 minutes. Like it
That's
was
forever.
It was several.
That's
like
forever.
7 or 8 laps.
It was several commercials.
There's race changing, like a dramatic thing has just happened, and you're just gonna let it sit for 3 minutes. That's unacceptable.
So then, okay, I'm not done. So it gets worse. So then they come back and they're like, "Hey, caution at Daytona." You know, Mike Joy, caution at Daytona. You know, and stuff. And by this point, like track people are already out. Half the cars are back at pit road, like and stuff like that. And he's like, "Yeah, all right, we're gonna go back to commercial, and we'll be right back." They go back to a commercial again for another couple minutes. So within the first probably, I'd say 5 to 7 minutes of this wreck happening, there was only maybe 2 minutes of that actually broadcasted where they were talking about it. Now, I'm with you, Jake. Why can't they just like as soon as they see a wreck
It
happen,
used to be.
it just cuts immediately back? Oh, whoa, we had a wreck, and then just pause
There
it,
used to be.
and then just
There
pause
used to
it,
be. They
and
used
then
to do
go
that.
back.
They used to pull you out mid commercial.
Yeah.
You know you're gonna go back to commercial anyways because you have a wreck.
You have a lot of cautions, like a big caution.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm particularly salty about this, being such a big fan of super speedways. NASCAR and NFL are totally different. NFL, you have timeouts, you have things that happen that give you time to go to commercial.
Dead balls, yeah, stuff like
Not
that.
during play, right?
Yeah.
And it's built into the game. NASCAR can't do that or we'd have a million cautions. We're not going to do that.
Right.
But they have to figure this out because the modern consumer is appalled by this. Nobody likes
It's
this.
too
Well,
much.
especially when you look at what's the biggest competition for NASCAR right now? Formula One.
Yeah.
What
That's
does
a
Formula
really good
One do?
point.
Formula One, no commercials. Now,
No commercial.
A lot shorter rate.
shorter races.
Lot shorter
Granted,
race.
shorter races.
But they don't have stage break.
They don't have stage breaks. There's some differences, right? Of course. But the thing is
I would trade 100 miles on a bunch of races if it meant no commercials.
I agree. I would.
Be a lot more exciting.
Texas go from 500 to 400 means no commercials.
Shorter Texas.
I'm in.
I mean,
Shorter Texas, I'm in.
yeah. Not just because of that, but
No,
yeah.
but I agree with you.
Well, and I mean, I will say that I'm glad that they at least try. You know, let's go side by side. Okay, at least we got to see the wreck. There have been times in the past where they go to a full commercial break, full screen commercials, and you don't even see the wreck, and they come back and they're
if
at
there
caution.
is green flag racing, there should 1,000% never be a full screen commercial
I agree.
on a super speedway. You want to say a mile and a half, another race,
Even
but
what-
your super speedways are your bread and butter, your big money races, your high viewership,
And you know things are going to go
cannot
wrong.
Go to full commercial.
You know things are going to go wrong
and
immediately.
they always try to do
Oh,
it
it
like
has to be.
10 to go before the stages. We're going to get one in real quick. And it's like, this is the most exciting part. The last 15 to 10 laps, everybody's setting up for the big moves.
They could. Okay, so
You
here's
can't
something.
do that, man.
Here's something too. I know that like they come back. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but with the choose rule, okay, they come back. They got to show the choose rule live, okay. Then they got to, maybe they'll go to another quick commercial right before the break or whatever. Why don't they just film the choose rule happening, the choose cone? Why don't they film that and then do a longer commercial break during that initial caution? And then when they come back, hey, since we're back now, here's what happened at the choose, and then show it then.
Well, you have a
while
little bit
they're
of
on like maybe their last lap
you have
coming
some
to green.
logistics there because typically pit road opens, leaders pit next time by, lap cars pit next time by choose rule. So if you do that, you're going to miss all the pit road stuff, which you can't miss. So I don't mind a bunch of commercials in between and spread out. That's fine between all those things. But I mean, during green flag, man, there's literally no freaking way. And then even if you wrap up whatever commercial's on that 10 seconds and then go back, I'm fine with that. You don't even have to cut immediately. Yeah. But you have to, man.
So, okay. Here's an idea.
There's nothing that takes you. It's extraordinarily frustrating.
So here's something that I don't think they've really thought about. This is something that I've learned a lot, like through doing this podcast and stuff like that. Live reads. Why don't they have Mike Joy read
some? This is the Wendy's onboard camera.
Yeah, do more of that, because at least then you're still showing the race.
I want to know, like your Fox broadcast company or NBC or anybody, if it's side by side, I watch the commercials. If it's not side by side and full screen, I get up and leave the room to go get a drink, go get something else. So how is a full screen commercial more valuable?
Any better.
You lose eyeballs.
Maybe they get paid.
Now, I'm just saying, like, what,
I'm sure they
what
do.
study are you doing that's showing you that the full... I don't know anybody that sits there and watches the full screen.
You want to know?
Pull out your phone.
You want to know my opinion? It's because the people that they're getting and doing their focus groups, they're not our age. They're not our generation. They're the people that still watch NASCAR on cable TV and stuff like that. Whereas now, that's why I personally think like they need to sign up a deal with like Peacock, Amazon, or something, man. Dude. And then, I don't care what it costs. Just do a separate
package.
I would pay for it.
Pay a NASCAR package.
I would pay for a NASCAR package if it meant no commercial.
Jumping over to the mobile app, it was absolutely impossible at the RV to get the Fox Sport app to work.
Yeah, that's probably an infield.
It didn't matter if I had 5G Ultra Clear. Didn't matter if I used my own phone as
another
a
thing.
Bandwidth issue because
honestly,
of the race,
with the amount of people that were there, I'm sure bandwidth was a problem.
Remember, like an hour after the race, everything started coming back on.
So that's another thing.
But side note, everybody knows. I'm gonna say this. It's harsh, but the Fox Sports app sucks.
Oh, it's horrible.
I mean, we watch a race, we'll stream the race to our TV, and it crashes about a half dozen times.
Yeah.
I mean, right in the middle of action. Like, come on. Like that stuff. If you want to grow and you want people to like your brand and want to tune in, that is a no-fly zone. You got to do that.
And the other thing, too, is I think they've got to do a better job of getting service at the track better.
No. So this year,
they fixed it.
Except for when there was 200,000-300,000 people there for the 500.
Well, of course,
it was amazing.
But so they
still
need
during the 500. My phone worked perfectly fine.
They added a lot more.
Yeah, no, they killed that. They deserve all the praise.
Because up until this point,
under the seats, like in the
case.
grandstands, you could see them clear as day.
Okay.
A lot more hot spots that you could connect to.
That's good. Okay, so that was not the case in years past so far. So
no, it was not.
By Thursday, everything is worthless.
Okay.
Is typically how it used to be. But no, it was great.
No, Daytona, listen, they fixed that real quick.
Okay, good. So at least it
could be a little better, but it's
a step in the right direction.
Yeah, but my phone, before, I used to never be able to text during the 500. This year, I could scroll Twitter. I could everything. It was amazing. I could send videos.
Give you all up.
I could send videos. I couldn't even text last year. This year I could send videos.
Yeah, that's definitely an upgrade.
All right,
yeah.
Let's move on to the next topic because we're running long already, which big surprise is Daytona. So, all right. Wrecks in the car. Have you guys seen any of the videos, clips of the wrecks?
From Kyle Busch on Thursday?
Not so much Kyle Busch. Kyle Larson and was one I saw. I think it was Jones. They were pretty violent. Like they still looked violent.
Look that up. I saw Kyle Busch's. You could see in his head.
When he turned sideways, you could see his head whip back.
You could see it.
They said that's actually not as bad as you would think because you're seeing travel and you want some travel
because that absorbs the impact.
That you're not an instantaneous stop. You have some travel there. You know, obviously it hurts and it sucks, but.
Well, the one thing I'll say is it looked violent. Okay, so Jones and Reddick specifically, but Reddick actually in his interview after when he gets out of the infield care center, they're like, Reddick, how are you doing? And he's like, yeah, it wasn't that bad. So the good news is that it looked violent, but Reddick at least said it, granted, one sample size of one, that it wasn't that bad, his words.
That's good.
And I don't remember I haven't heard anybody so far, I could be off on a few people, haven't heard any of the drivers complaining about the hits, saying that man, these cars
Bush
still
said
suck.
Yeah, it still sucks to wreck.
Well,
I mean,
of course. I mean, geez. I mean,
you're doing 200 miles an hour and you wrecked.
I think Bubba was getting hit from the back. He's like, "Yep, nope, they didn't fix it."
Well, he said that I think at the Clash.
Wasn't it the Clash?
Oh, I think it was the Clash.
That
Yeah, it
was
was one
one
of
of
the
the
two.
I didn't
Which
hear
those
any-
impacts, I mean, yeah, the people weren't
Oh,
they weren't
God, they were
breaking
running each other over.
Yeah, so I mean, of course, those are gonna be the case, and I think when you're going that fast, there's gonna be a lot more give in things because of the momentum and the different mass you have of all the cars. So yeah, I think that was the only thing is I was like, they might have fixed it, but they might not have.
One thing I want to add there: the package overall, the rules package, they got to make a change a little bit. They got to tweak.
What do they need to do?
What stinks is like this racing isn't bad by any stretch. It's pretty good. But I want to see closer to what the Gen 6 ended. That racing was way more intense and way better. Not to say that this was bad. This was good racing. I liked it. But the ability to build runs and do things how the Gen 6 ended is what I want. So if that's a little more motor, more downforce, I don't know. It's probably a combination of both or different or whatever. That probably takes a tremendous amount of wind tunnel time to try to figure that out. But
what do you think? What would you do if you could figure out something?
I don't know. I don't know what the fix is. Probably a little more motor. But then you start running the risk of it single filing out against the outside lane. So I think you probably need a little more downforce in there too to slow it back down. But the downforce, when you get behind another car, helps you build a bigger run because you got more motor.
Yeah.
I don't know, man, and I feel like the Xfinity cars were running faster laps than the Cup cars.
I heard
That's unacceptable.
I heard
the Cup
someone
cars is the highest, most prestigious. The Cup car needs to be the fastest.
I heard someone bring
Come
up, and I don't remember who it was, but somebody in the industry was saying maybe a thinner tire. That might have been Junior. I think I saw. It's like maybe
When
try
was
it like a week or so ago. This was before the 500. He was talking
For the
about
500.
no. Well, he was talking about a different
In
race, but he
general?
was saying in
No,
general.
no. Well, he's been saying that since they started.
But
talking
I
about
thought
that car.
I mean that was an interesting idea because then that would give you a little bit less grip, a little bit less, just not like a ton, just a little bit.
See, but okay, hold on. You fix the downforce and you give them more motor on short track. Sounds like they're going to do. I think you're going to fix short track racing. Mile and a half is perfect. Don't touch it.
Yeah.
Mile and a half's
I
really
agree.
good.
We'll see once the teams have figured some stuff out. But I think the simulation's so good. Halfway through the year, they pretty much had figured most of everything out.
Yeah, the
Not
intermediates
everything,
were good.
but the big gaps have been made.
Yeah.
The intermediates are freaking insane.
Yeah.
Like they're so not like wild chaos, but like the racing is so rich and so like it's super competitive.
Much closer.
Yeah, man. But you can still make moves. Like I hope they don't fix the tire.
Really?
I want that tire to be weak. If you go too aggressive on the setup, you blow a tire.
Well, that's
I
kind of
like that, man.
that's kind of
I
what
like
he
it.
was talking about. Was he was saying he wants a tire to wear out quicker. He's like, he goes, is it what he was saying? And I mean, I don't know.
Kind of hard because every track's different.
Well, true, but
Yeah,
I mean, the
there's
thing
a
they
bunch
were,
of different compounds.
But the
They
thing he
don't run
was-
the same compound. It's a bunch of different
the
compounds.
thing
of
he
rubber.
was talking about that was interesting was he was talking about how is it a problem with Goodyear because Goodyear doesn't want to be seen as a tire that wears out because at the end of the day they sell tires, so they don't want to make a tire that wears out in 20 laps. Is it maybe a marketing thing
I
from
don't think it's
them?
that. I think Goodyear makes harder tires because if you make a softer tire, you risk blowout
Liability.
and wrecks, right?
Yeah.
And
I mean, when all these tires start popping, who's the first person we blame?
but
Always.
soft tires make better racing.
Yes.
But I think last year was super clear because whoever, like say, Trackhouse or Joe Gibbs, right? Joe Gibbs had tires blown out. All the Joe Gibbs cars were because it was a setup thing that they came up with.
Yeah,
and
they were
went too
their
far.
pressures were too low.
They went too far, whether it's too low, too much camber, whatever. I want all that.
Yeah.
I want them to run on the ragged edge. I do agree with Dale Jr. The tire should wear more, but I want it to still be sensitive to pushing it too far. And what Goodyear, they don't want blowouts. So they want it to be, if you want the tire not to wear so much that it pops, then you have to build a harder tire. And so really what it comes down to is, I don't know if you guys know, but in Indianapolis one year, they brought a really soft tire, wear it out good, wore out fast, but it actually wore out too fast. And they could only run about 10 laps before blowing a tire. Everybody. Like it was,
Oh, that's wild.
they ran like
That's-
8, 12 laps and had to throw a caution because so many tires were going down.
Yeah, that's a problem.
It was a horrible race. So Goodyear is scared to death, obviously, never to have that again. But I felt like last year, man, I felt like they nailed it. I really hope there's some changes they got to make, but I really hope they don't tweak it that much.
Yeah. All right. So that wraps up that part. So let's look at next week. Going to Fontana.
Potentially the last time on the 2 mile configuration.
How do you guys feel about that, Matt?
I'm not happy. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not happy. I think it's a great track. It's a big track. 2 miles?
2 miles.
2 miles.
D-shaped configuration. Very similar to Michigan.
D-shape, yeah. So I think it's a great track, especially with the type of car it's at now. I think this car plays very well to that type of track. At least it did last year. Granted, when the track first kind of came around, there was a lot of, well, it's not the greatest track, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't all that good with the prior year cars. But I think the car they've made now works very well with it. It was a very exciting race last year.
Yeah.
So seeing them change it to a short track, one, it's adding another short track to the list, which I think we have a lot already.
Mm-mm.
You don't think so?
No, we don't have nothing.
Well, I mean, Phoenix is a short track.
Phoenix is not a short track. Shut up.
I mean, we ended a short
God.
track. So, but you're giving up. Why can't we just add another track? Why can't you just build another one?
I
don't know.
You got plenty of room.
I'm gonna be
there.
honest. That's what I kind of wondered was why do they have to replace this track? Why can't they just build another
So
one?
here's the thing. So it's
I mean, I
coming.
get it with
It's coming
walls
up on
and
a
all that kind of
repaint,
stuff, but
right? It's coming up on a repaint.
Right.
It's gonna have to happen. But my thing is, why would you not? Why do you have to do it now? Why can't you wait for the repaint?
that's kind of real. Yeah, wait till you absolutely need to do it.
It could be this year.
I mean,
their data could say this year is the year that it's going to start coming apart, and we got to fix it, right? Which, side note, we got to talk about Daytona. Something we saw right outside our camp.
I'm gonna bring it up, but I was like, we're kind of.
We will, but the Auto Club. I don't know, man. I don't want them to change it yet because last year was so good. Now if they run this year, they've learned so much, and the race is not as great. All right, tear it down. Let's do it.
Yeah,
but
maybe
like if it's as good as this year, you can't, man. You can't. And then they're talking about using the Clash as a replacement. Oh, as a points race, bro. No,
I don't think the Clash should be a points race. No.
Not a fan. Now I did hear Dale Jr. say about the Clash. Since we're talking about that, he had a great idea. I'm so into this 1,000%. He said they should make the Clash at the Coliseum its own thing, rebrand it, the fight at the Coliseum, the whatever the Coliseum, make it a move-in rotation thing, make it its own unique thing. And you could do it at different times of the year. It doesn't have to always be the beginning of the season.
Just a purely exhibition. And
bring the 20-lap pole sitter, pole winners only at Daytona. Bring that back to Daytona.
Whoa.
Original format. So if there's 8 pole winners for the year.
For the Clash.
Gotcha. But leave the Coliseum
like a special event.
As a rotating thing.
No, I completely agree. I think that's
so in for that.
I think that's one of the things that the NBA does really good, and even the NFL, where they move, the Super Bowl, the All-Star game for the NBA, they move them to different stadiums, the Pro Bowl. They move them around so that way, like for example, listen, we're from Orlando. Orlando ain't seen a finals in years. And we've only been in it twice in the NBA. It would be awesome if they rotated the finals. So that way I could go to a finals game and watch a good game instead of watching my team get destroyed. So I love the idea of being able to like there was the All-Star game here when there's, you get to see these events. Some of these small market teams, there's teams in the NBA that pretty much never see any type of serious, game. It would be awesome for they get to see the All-Star game where all these stars come in and play. You get to see that. And I think that's where the Clash could really do.
Good facilities too here in Orlando too.
Yeah,
the Amway's nice facility.
But my point with the Clash is, I think rotating it. No, I completely think that's a great idea.
But you got to go to markets. Open up the new markets. Not in yet, and you can't. The price at the Clash for food and stuff. You're never going to win people over with this, man.
No,
you're trying to draw. You're not trying to draw. You shouldn't be trying to draw Super Bowl people and people with Super Bowl money. You're not trying to draw that. You're trying to draw regular blue collar people. People just regular go to work people, even white collar, but not, and Martinsville has $2 hot dogs and $3 beers. Come on, man. That's what people want. There was what was it? It was a football stadium. I heard this last year. They switched. They went to $3 beers. Their sales skyrocketed.
Of course.
Come on, man. What do you you're going to make more money. Chill.
Well, because how many times would you, if it's if it's a $10, $15 beer, you'd be like, oh, I'll just have one.
One or two.
I'll have one or two.
I'm done.
And then you're going to, but if it's $2 or $3, dude, everyone's
I'm gonna
going
go buy one for me and all my buddies.
Exactly.
Yeah, man, it's just a game changer. Like NASCAR needs to make sure they appeal to that, and it'll explode.
So what we noticed was when we were getting food down in the lower section.
Oh, man, you gonna talk about this?
I am going to talk about this
It's
a little
bit salty.
It's a little wild
because you're talking about food.
No, listen to this. So the regular price for like a burger and fries, no drink, was like $13.
Okay.
On the regular ground level. Granted, we had general admission, so for the truck race, I believe we went up to the Tri-Oval Club, the nice black and white seats up there.
Right.
Burger and fries was $6 up there.
Really?
Less than half price
for the same meal on one level different.
Now those tickets are way more expensive, but
for a generic
but at the same
race,
time, like I mean, I don't know, man.
Like it doesn't.
I don't know. It didn't sit well with me either.
No, that's a
the
little.
beer prices were all the same.
Now, I will
There's no
say,
difference
the
there.
only thing I'll say about Daytona and most of the ISC track, you can bring whatever you want in.
That's true.
Yeah.
100%. Bring anything you wanted, so you don't have to.
I don't mind if you charge $12 if I can bring whatever I want and not you give me the option to not have to do that. I'm okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I think I brought a combined total of like
You
8
brought so
hot
much
dogs
food.
in and 6 burgers one day.
Yeah. Bunch of drinks. Yeah, I mean that's cool, you know. So, but the LA thing, a new fan doesn't know that. And
No.
you can't just bludger them with you can't do that.
Like
it's
a
not
$17
fun.
beer.
Okay, so to kind of bring this back to Fontana's race, because we kind of got off a little bit.
I'm so excited for it this
I know,
weekend. I'm
but
looking forward to it so much.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think
I have
it's
never anticipated the West Coast swing this much.
Yeah, I think
Super
Fontana
excited.
was a really good race last year, so I think it's gonna be good.
Just hope Larson doesn't wreck.
Who do you guys think, Jake? Who do you think? Who you
Who
picking?
knows, dude? I mean, I think it'll take the whole West Coast swing to know who's going to be good. I think it could be just like last year, where Jones or somebody just comes out, somebody you wouldn't expect.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be any. I think the big teams will still be fast, but it won't be dominated by the big 3 teams or 4 teams.
Yeah,
you know.
I think Ford's going to be on a tear again. I don't want to say
This is a motor
specific
track,
team.
so yeah.
I was gonna say I'm actually kind of leaning into your camp right now, thinking RFK might be really solid. No, I mean like
We'll see.
they showed they had some
They ended
serious
kind of
speed.
strong, but they were horrible at the Clash.
Yeah, they didn't
Horrible.
even try. They did, but it was bad.
So I think I don't know because the Chevys and the Toyotas have really different front bumpers.
Yeah.
So their downforce, their aero package is a little different. It's hard to say. I don't think one manufacturer will be dominant, and if they are, NASCAR will change that real quick. But no, I think I don't know that we'll see a clear favorite. I don't know. I think by the way, because you get D-shaped track, 2 mile with Auto Club, and then I believe it's Las Vegas or Phoenix is next. I forget. But
I want to say Vegas.
you get a short track.
I think it's Vegas.
quote
Vegas.
short track with Phoenix. You get 1.5 miles with Las Vegas, and you get Auto Club. So it's your 3 main bread and butter racetracks. You know
That'll give us an idea.
Simulation, aero, and motor, and those 3 things. I think by the time you get those 3 races with those factors, you'll know who's fast, who's going to be good off the start of the year.
Makes sense. So okay, so yeah, that's Fontana. I'm looking forward to it. It surprised me last year because I had never really thought about Fontana, like as far as a track. Like I don't know why, I just never. And then I remember watching last year's race, and I was like, oh man,
It was a good race.
this is a really solid
Cars were
race.
made
So
really well for it.
I'm really excited to see it. I love the whole idea of the giant speed trap thing at the end
Oh yeah.
of the front stretch, and the giant sign saying 195, 196 and stuff. Like I love that.
Should have seen back in the day, dude, when they ran 900 horsepower with a small spoiler. They're hitting corner speeds like 219, 218.
I'm sure.
It was so fast.
That is one thing we did notice. There was about a 15 to 18 mile per hour difference at Daytona between qualifying versus pack runs. It was kind of
I'm
wild.
sure.
It was a big swing, and
Yeah,
Speeds.
single cars were really slow.
it felt like
Yeah.
it. Only one car broke 181, right?
Yeah,
That was Bowman.
yeah. There's only one that got over the 181.
Yeah,
Yeah, and everyone else was like 196, 197 the whole time, like in the pack.
running it.
Yeah. So all right, sounds good. Any you guys got anything else you want to add before we take it to the next week?
Turn 1 was falling apart at Daytona.
Oh yeah, the asphalt. So we noticed after the duels,
No,
duels.
duels. It was
Duels.
definitely duels.
Where the racetrack goes from the straightaway banking, which is not much, couple degrees, as it transitions to the 31 degrees,
Right.
kind of like that middle, the track is falling apart.
Big cracks in
Big
the asphalt.
cracks.
Really?
Like it's shifting or tearing.
Yeah.
And we were out there and they were filling something in it.
There had to have been 20 people out there with 10 vehicles at the end of the duels, just looking over it.
Worked on it all night long.
Yeah.
Well,
I had
that's
to have
weird.
patched it all. No one said anything. There's no real
No
coverage over it, but we were
communication.
watching it from the
But then
RV.
what we noticed was we started noticing the tri-oval where you also have that mid banking. It's not all the way and it's not flat. You see a lot of the same thing. And you see it at all corner entries and exits where it's kind of like that middle ground banking.
It was like a 6-foot crack. It was huge.
It was, I saw a guy stick his fist in it.
Jeez.
Yeah. And
So,
they had to fix that, and nobody knew pretty much anything until.
No, I did. They didn't mention it at all.
But
so
they patched it.
I mean, that asphalt, the last time they repaved was like, well, they last paid in 2017 or 2011, excuse me. And then the last time before that was, I mean, like in the 70s, maybe the 80s, a long time. That asphalt should last like 30 years. And they got that. We saw the president of Daytona out there taking a look at it. Super concerning. I wonder what's going on. But the corners, the high bank looks perfect.
Yep. High banks
Perfect.
and all the flat on the back looks
So
fine.
we were
It's
talking
just
about
that
what if there's some
transition.
kind of like drainage where maybe, I don't know
Maybe.
enough about it. Again, I don't fess to be any
let's
kind
keep
of.
an eye out
You
for
know
that.
what? To be honest, just putting that out there, right where the tunnel was.
Yeah, but the tri-oval too. And turn 3 and 4.
No, I got you. But where we were looking was right where the tunnel was. So
Could be. Yeah.
could be.
Yeah. I don't know. It's something to be. I wonder if they're going to have to repave Daytona here.
That would change things up.
That would be big money.
That's a big track to repave.
Now it's $14 hot dogs.
Yeah, they got to pay for that repave.
Pretty much.
I feel like they made their money this week, man. There was so many people in
I'm
there.
sure they did. All right, awesome. So that wraps it up for us then. We will see you guys next week.
Next
All
week,
right.
Yep,
Sunday
right
night.
after,
we'll
right
be
after
recording.
Fontana. So, all right, we'll check you guys later.
We're
See
out.
ya.